I pushed open the front door and stopped dead in my tracks. There, in the driveway, stood my wife, Sarah, in a pair of sleek leggings she hadn't touched in years, her lips curled into a smirk that didn't belong on the woman I'd vowed to love forever. But that wasn't what churned my stomach. No, it was the guy lounging against a shiny new silver Tahoe like he owned the place. A stranger, tall, bronzed, with hair too polished to be natural, one arm draped around two boys who looked just old enough to sense something was wrong. And just behind them, my son, Liam, hovered in the doorway, his eyes wide with confusion. Sarah didn't give me a chance to speak. She flicked her dark hair back and said, "Daniel, this is Matt and his sons. They're moving in for a while. It's time we stop living a lie." I let out a laugh, not the kind that comes from joy, but the raw, jagged kind that rips through you when something breaks inside. Living a lie? What the hell was that supposed to mean? She brushed past me without a second glance, unfazed. Matt followed, his kids trailing with duffel bags like they'd already claimed the place. "You and me," she said, tossing her bag onto the couch. "We've been over for ages. You're just too stubborn to see it." Liam shuffled closer, his small hand shaking as it grabbed my sleeve. "Dad, why is he here?" Sarah glanced over her shoulder, her smirk sharp as a blade. "Because he's the one who makes me feel alive now." Those words didn't just sting, they shattered something deep inside me. I should have seen the signs, the late-night work calls, the sudden yoga classes, the lacy bra I found with the tag still on, never meant for my eyes, the way she'd smile at her phone like it held secrets I wasn't worthy of. I was naive, thinking we were just hitting a rough spot, that if I kept being the steady one, the breadwinner, the rock, she'd come back to me. But she'd already found someone else to hold her while I was in the next room, trying to keep our family from crumbling like a house of cards in a storm. "Matt's boys are great," she said with a forced smile. "Maybe they'll toughen Liam up a bit." That was the moment something in me broke. But before I could say a word, Liam, my 12-year-old son, with eyes like mine but braver than I'd ever been, stepped forward. Pointing right at Sarah, he said, loud enough for the neighbors to hear, "You're not my mom anymore." Sarah froze, her confidence cracking for the first time since she stepped out of that SUV. "I saw your texts," Liam went on, his voice trembling but growing steadier. "You told Matt you wanted me gone because I'm too much like Dad. You call me a burden." Matt shifted, looking uneasy. Sarah's face went white, then flushed red, twisting into something vicious. "You little sneak," she snapped. "You had no business snooping." He had every right. I cut in, stepping up beside him. "While you were playing happy family with this wannabe model, Liam was watching his world fall apart, wondering why you stopped caring about us." Sarah glared at me like I was nothing. "Spare me the theatrics, Daniel. You were dull, predictable. I needed someone who made my heart race again." "Made your heart race," I said, locking eyes with the man who hadn't spoken yet. "You mean this guy?" Matt finally piped up, his voice slick like he'd rehearsed it. "Hey man, it's not about you. Sarah deserves to be happy." I almost laughed, but my hands were balled into fists. "I hope she brings you the same joy she brought me," I said, my voice ice cold. "Because she'll turn on you too. It's what she does. And when that day comes, I'll be the one smiling." Sarah rolled her eyes and headed for the kitchen. "Whatever, Daniel. You'll hear from my lawyer. I'm done here." But she wasn't done, not by a long shot, and neither was I. Tucked away in my desk drawer was a folder filled with every secret she thought she'd hidden, and it was about to change everything. I strode down the hallway to what used to be our bedroom, mine alone now, and yanked open the nightstand's top drawer. Under a pile of faded postcards and tangled phone cords lay the plain folder I'd been building for months. I never wanted to need it. I prayed I was wrong, but I wasn't. Inside were printouts, credit card charges, a motel receipt from a weekend I was visiting my mom in Ohio when Sarah claimed she had the flu. Turns out, she was cozying up with Matt at a Marriott. There were even a few screenshots of Matt's text to one of Sarah's co-workers, gloating about taking her from her dead-end husband. I had it all, every damning piece. Back in the living room, Matt sprawled on my sectional like he owned it, scrolling through my TV channels. His boys were rummaging through Liam's snacks in the kitchen, acting like they'd lived here forever. Liam perched on the staircase, rigid, silent, but his eyes blazed with something fierce. Sarah caught sight of the folder in my hands and scoffed. "What's that, your new hobby? Scrapbooking? Something like that," I said coolly. She grabbed it, flipped it open, and her smug grin vanished in a heartbeat. "You've been stalking me," she hissed. "No," I said. "I've been gathering proof. There's a difference. And now I got enough to make sure you leave with nothing but your new guy and his sticky-fingered kids." She hurled the folder onto the coffee table, papers scattering. Matt stood, holding up his hands. "Hey, man, maybe we should talk this out somewhere else." "No way," I fired back. "You brought your chaos into my home, into my family. You made it a spectacle, so let's keep it that way." Sarah's voice turned sharp, venomous. "You have no idea what I've been through. You were never there for me, Daniel, not emotionally. I was suffocating, and you were too busy playing handyman, acting like everything was fine while I was dying inside." "You weren't dying," I snapped. "You were straying. There's a difference." Then Matt, of all people, reached out to pat my shoulder. "Take it easy, buddy." That word, buddy, ignited something in me I didn't know was there. I knocked his hand away and stepped close. "Call me that again, and we'll see how easy I take it." He backed off, hands up. Sarah, scrambling, went for her last weapon. "You think a judge will back you when you're making threats in front of your kid?" "I'm not threatening," I said, voice steady. "I'm done. That's different." Then, in the middle of this mess, Liam's voice cut through, small but raw. "Dad, can I stay with you?" Sarah whirled on him. "What?" "No, you don't get to pick sides." "I already did," he said, "the second you brought them here like we didn't exist." Matt's boys, catching the tension, looked uneasy. The younger one, maybe 8, mumbled something to Matt, who crouched down, nodding. Sarah, though, had crossed a line no legal paper could undo. She grabbed Liam's arm. "You're confused. I'm your mother. You don't speak to me that way." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I stepped forward and said, "Let go of my son." My tone was ice, final, unlike anything I'd ever used with her. She froze, then released him. Matt let out a heavy breath, like he finally saw the mess he'd waded into. "Maybe we should head out. Maybe you should have thought twice before strutting into another man's house with your sidekick and a moving van." I shot back. Sarah snatched her purse. "This isn't over." "I know," I said. "It's just beginning." As they left, Matt's younger boy glanced back at Liam and gave a small wave. Liam didn't acknowledge it, just stared as their SUV pulled away, like he was searing the moment into his memory. I shut the door, locked it, and turned to Liam. "I'm sorry," I said. "You didn't deserve any of this." He hugged me tight, like I was his only anchor now, and it hit me. I hadn't lost everything. Sarah had, and she was too blind to see it. The next morning was heavy, not calm, just the kind of stillness that clings to you, like the air itself is holding its breath after a tornado tears through. Liam didn't go to school, and I didn't push him. We sat at the kitchen counter, nursing mugs of hot chocolate, two castaways staring at the ruins of what used to be our life. Neither of us mentioned Sarah, but I could feel the questions gnawing at him, same as they were clawing at me. By noon, my phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. _ Your actions last night were aggressive. You're unhinged. I've already reached out to a lawyer. I'll be collecting my things with police escort. Don't contact me. _ I read it twice, then slid the phone to Liam. He stared at the screen, then whispered, "She's calling you aggressive?" "Yeah," I said. "After everything she did." "She's lying," he said, the words sharp and true. It hit me hard. How easily she spun her web. No guilt, no hesitation. But I wasn't about to let her rewrite this story into some pity party for herself. She could play the victim for her new guy, for the courts, for her shallow friends. But I had the facts. I had receipts, dates, messages. I had Liam. That was more than enough. 2 days later, she showed up unannounced with 2 cops, banging on the door like she hadn't blown our world apart and expected me to roll out the welcome mat. She stood there in oversized sunglasses and a fake pout, gripping a designer tote like it was her last shred of pride. One officer asked, "You Daniel Carter?" I nodded. "Ma'am needs to retrieve her belongings. Can we come in shortly to oversee?" I locked eyes with Sarah. "What? You need protection now." She smirked. "I'm keeping myself safe." Should have thought of that before hopping into Matt's SUV. The officer stepped forward. Let's keep it civil, sir. I backed off. Fine. Let her grab her lipstick and her secrets. Sarah breezed past me like she still ran the place, heading upstairs without a glance at the family pictures lining the hall. That stung more than I'd admit. I'd hoped for a flicker of remorse, some sign she remembered what we were, but she'd already erased us. While she was upstairs, I grabbed a water from the fridge. One cop hovered by the staircase, looking out of place. Then I heard her voice, loud enough to drift down. God, this place reeks of desperation. How did I stay so long? I took a deep breath, let it burn in my chest. She came down with 2 bags bulging with clothes, makeup, and something that looked a lot like my old watch. I pointed. That's mine. Oh, please, she scoffed. You never used it. I will now. The officer glanced at her. Ma'am, if it belongs to him, you need to leave it. She sighed dramatically, yanked it off her wrist, and flung it onto the couch like it was trash. Then she looked at me, chin high. Matt's already talking about proposing, by the way. Just so you know, you can start moving on. I gave her a cold smile. I'm way ahead of you. That landed, just a little. She blinked, caught off guard. Then, like the universe was playing a trump card, Liam came downstairs, clutching something. It was a framed photo from his 6th birthday. Him with whipped cream on his face, Sarah laughing as she hugged him, me holding them both. He held it out to her. She frowned. What's this? Take it, he said, so you don't forget what you gave up. Then he turned and walked out to the porch. One of the officers cleared his throat. That's all, ma'am. We're done. Sarah didn't say a word, just gripped the photo like it was hot coal and followed them out. I watched from the doorway as their car pulled away, and for the first time since this nightmare started, I didn't feel shattered. I felt something sharper, clarity. The lies were exposed, the act was over, and what was left wasn't pain, it was strength. I wasn't the one running from the truth, and soon, everyone would know it. I had one card left to play, and this time, I wasn't pulling punches. The day after Sarah cleared out her stuff, I filed for a divorce. Sharp, no hesitation, handing my lawyer the folder of evidence like it was a lit fuse. He skimmed it, eyebrows climbing, and said, You've got more than enough to torture case in court. Do it, I said. Let her scramble. I didn't warn Sarah. I let the papers speak for me, delivered to her new boyfriend's doorstep while she was inside playing family with Matt and his boys. I pictured her trying to laugh it off, calling it just paperwork in front of them, but the timing was no accident. I wanted Matt to see the kind of woman he'd invited in, the kind who treats her son like a bargaining chip and her husband like a fallback, the kind who lies so smoothly she starts buying her own fiction. 2 days later, my phone rang, an unknown number. I let go to voicemail and played it back. It was Matt, voice low and unsteady. Hey man, we need to talk. Call me when you get this. I didn't bother. Instead, I took Liam fishing a quiet lake just outside town. No signal, no distractions, just the ripple of water and the hum of cicadas. He was silent for the first hour, focused on his line. Then, as he tied on a new lure, he looked up and asked, Do you think she ever really loved us? I didn't sugarcoat it. I think she loved the idea of us when it suited her. He nodded, jaw tight. I don't miss her. I did. Not Sarah now, but the shadow of who she'd been. The woman who'd laugh in the kitchen while bacon burned. The one who teared up when we brought Liam home. That woman vanished somewhere between Matt's charm and her sudden allergy to our life. When we got back, a wilted grocery store bouquet sat on the porch. No card, just a desperate, wordless plea. I chucked it in the trash. That night, my lawyer sent me a file from a PI I'd hired. It was gold. Matt at a diner with another woman. Not Sarah. Same spot Sarah used to call her favorite. Same cocky grin. The server confirmed he'd been bringing the new one around for weeks, overlapping with Sarah. Justice moves quick sometimes. I didn't tip Sarah off. Not yet. Instead, I texted her, _ your dreams falling apart. Stay sharp this week. _ her reply came fast. _ what are you talking about? _ I left it unanswered. 2 nights later, a knock came at 11 p.m. Liam was asleep. I opened the door, and there was Sarah. No Matt, no polish, just a hoodie, yoga pants, and a messy bun that screamed unraveling. Daniel, she said, trying for calm. Can we talk? I stepped outside, shutting the door. No, she flinched. It's important. What? Matt ditched you already. Her mouth twitched bullseye. I got the papers, she said. Maybe we moved too fast. I laughed, cold and sharp. You moved? She exhaled. He's not who I thought. Big surprise. I messed up Daniel bad. I get it now. You made more than mistakes, I said, stepping closer. You made choices, one after another. She went quiet. I don't want Liam to hate me. Then you shouldn't have paraded a stranger and his kids into his home like we were props. I didn't know what else to do, she whispered. That's your problem. You never think beyond the next thrill. Then, this still stings, she touched my arm and said, maybe we can fix this. For Liam. I stared at her, really looked at her, then pulled back. I fixed it the second you walked out. I turned, opened the door, and closed in her face. She didn't knock again, but I knew this wasn't over. Not yet. 3 days passed. Silence. No flowers. No texts. No crocodile tears. Then Friday hit. I pulled into the driveway after work and saw her car parked there, tires angled like she was staking a claim. She was pacing the front yard, dressed like she was auditioning for trouble. Sleek black dress, heels sinking into the lawn, lipstick sharp enough to cut. She looked more ready for a bar than a family reunion. Liam was still at school, giving me maybe 20 minutes before his bus dropped him off. I got out of the car, silent. She saw me and flashed a rehearsed smile. Daniel, you're looking good. I brushed past her toward the door. What do you want, Sarah? She trailed me up the steps like a shadow in stilettos. I spoke with Matt, she said, too casual like we were old pals. We're done. Too different. His boys didn't mesh. Heartbreaking, I said, turning the key. She didn't wait for an invite, just slipped inside and perched on the couch like the past weeks were a bad dream. I've been thinking, she said, smoothing her dress. Maybe I got it wrong. You didn't just get it wrong, I said. You built a whole castle of bad calls. I wasn't myself, she said, pulling that wide-eyed look that used to work when she dented my truck or blew the budget. You know how lost I was? I needed to feel alive, to feel wanted. I leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed. So you cheated, lied, tore me down, brought a stranger and his kids into our home to erase us. Sarah opened her mouth, but I didn't let her speak. Then you called me abusive to hide your shame, raced to a lawyer to paint me as unhinged, told our son he was too much like me. Should I keep going? Her polished smile shattered. I just want a second chance, she said, voice wavering. Not for me, for Liam. He deserves a real family. I stared at her, long and hard, then laid it out. I filed for full custody. You'll get supervised visits if Liam agrees. She shot up, eyes blazing. You can't do that. It's done. Want to fight? Bring your proof. I've got mine. She glared. You think this makes you the better parent? No, I said. Staying through every lie, every cold shoulder, every night you shut me out for months. That's what makes me the better parent. You were distant. You were gone. We stood there, chests heaving, like two fighters too battered to land another punch but too stubborn to fall. Then I heard the school bus. Liam. I stepped onto the porch as he hopped off, backpack slung loose, hair tousled from the breeze. He froze when he saw Sarah. Mom, she said, forcing a smile. Hey, buddy. He didn't return it. Why are you here? He asked. Just talking with your dad, she said, syrupy sweet. Adult stuff. He looked at me. I gave a small nod. He climbed the steps and stood by my side. You staying? He asked her. I was hoping to. No, he said. You shouldn't. Her face cracked, just for a moment. The mask slipped, revealing fear, regret, too little, too late. Okay, she whispered. I'll go. She walked to her car, heels catching in the grass. At the door, she turned back. He'll regret this someday. He'll wonder why I left. Liam spoke before I could. No, I'll know exactly why. He turned and walked inside. I followed, shutting the door, and for the first time in weeks, the house felt like mine again. Not fixed, not perfect, but true. I'd take that over her hollow love any day. The next week was tense, not restful, a quiet that hums like a storm waiting to break. Wednesday night, as I set out plates for dinner, grilled cheese and tomato soup, Liam's go-to, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. Daniel Carter? The voice asked. Yeah. This is Officer Hayes, County Sheriff's Office. We got a complaint against you. Harassment, possible endangerment of a minor. I froze, gripping the phone. What? Filed by Ms. Sarah Carter. Claims you've made verbal threats, acted emotionally abusive, and blocked her access to her son. My jaw clenched. He went on, no charges yet, but we'll need a statement, ideally with your lawyer present. I nodded, though he couldn't see. Got it. My attorney will reach out. I hung up, hands trembling. Liam glanced up from the table. What's wrong? I forced a smile. Just some work stuff I forgot to handle. I didn't tell him, not yet, but inside I was raging. She wouldn't stop. She couldn't just walk away, accept that she'd broken something irreparable and lost the only people who ever truly cared. Now she was trying to flip the script, make me the monster in her crumbling story. The woman who strutted out with another man was now calling me a threat to our son. I called my lawyer after dinner. He wasn't shocked. She's desperate, he said. She knows she backed the wrong horse, and now she's scrambling for leverage. Good news? Your evidence is ironclad. Let her try. That night, sleep didn't come. I lay there, replaying every moment, every lie she spun, every red flag I ignored. I should have seen this Sarah years ago, but I didn't want to. I wanted to believe she was just lost, not vicious. But she was both. And the hardest part? She was still Liam's mom. That Thursday, Sarah broke the rules. The divorce papers were clear. No contact without my okay. But she showed up at Liam's school anyway, waiting in the parking lot until he got out, trying to sweet-talk him into staying with her for a few days. He shut her down. She got mad, and a teacher saw the whole thing. By the time I arrived, the principal had called me and brought Liam to the office. Sarah was gone. The security footage caught enough for me to file a violation. That night, she texted, "You're poisoning my son against me. You'll both pay for this." I didn't reply. I forwarded it to my lawyer. That weekend, I sat with Liam on the couch and laid it out. Not the gritty details, he didn't need those, but the truth. Your mom's lost right now. She's made choices I can't shield you from anymore. But I'll always keep you safe, no matter what she pulls. He nodded. I know, Dad. Then he said something that stuck with me. I used to hope she'd come back. Now I just want her to stay away. It hurt to hear, but it also freed something in me. He saw her clearly now. So did I. That Sunday, a letter came, her official response via her attorney. She demanded joint custody, 50-50, week on, week off. It was absurd, but I didn't laugh. This wasn't about parenting. It was about power. She wanted to punish me for not letting her skate free. She thought I'd fold. She forgot I don't break for liars anymore, not even the ones I once loved. Court day. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror that morning, knotting a tie I hadn't worn since my dad's funeral. I didn't put on for Sarah. I wore it for Liam, to show him some things like self-respect are worth dusting off when everything else crumbles. Liam stayed with my sister, probably glued to his video games, hopefully not dwelling on a mess his parents were about to drag through a courtroom. My lawyer met me at the courthouse, cool as ice, the kind of guy who didn't flinch in a storm. She'll lean into the victim act, he said. Tears, remorse, the works. Let her talk. Our evidence speaks louder. Sarah rolled in 10 minutes later, dressed in a crisp white blouse like she was headed to church, not a fight. Hair pulled back, barely any makeup, playing the wounded, cast-aside wife. Matt was nowhere in sight. I figured his side fling blew up their fling quietly. Good. Let her taste her own medicine. The hearings started steady. Introductions, context. Then her lawyer stood and spun a story so warped I hardly recognized it. Ms. Carter endured years of emotional distance. Her efforts to save the marriage were ignored. She made one misstep, yes, but only after Mr. Carter shut her out entirely. Now she's unfairly blocked from her son, who she longs to reconnect with. Blocked unfairly, right? My lawyer rose, calm but lethal, armed with every piece of proof. Messages, motel receipts, recorded calls where Liam broke down after Sarah ghosted him again. The folder spelled it out. Dates, times, her own words in black and white. The judge reviewed it in silence, and when he looked at me, it wasn't pity in his eyes, it was recognition. Then Sarah took the stand. Cue the performance. Quivering voice, well-timed tears, the same routine she pulled to dodge accountability. "I just want my family back," she whispered, pausing for effect. "I never meant to hurt anyone. That was a mistake. I was lost, empty, and Daniel stopped seeing me." She looked at me, expecting me to soften. I didn't blink. When my turn came, I didn't cry or waver. I just spoke. "I love her. I gave her everything. She didn't just leave. She blew up our family. She brought another man and his kids into our home, introduced them to my son like we were disposable. When it fell apart, she tried to slink back and play the victim. But this isn't about me. It's about Liam, and all he wants is stability." The courtroom went quiet after my testimony, a heavy silence that drowned out every argument Sarah and I ever had. 3 days later, the judge ruled. Primary custody to me, supervised visitation for Sarah every other weekend, contingent on a child therapist approval of Liam's emotional readiness. Any violation would suspend her rights. Her face, as the gavel fell, she didn't cry. She seethed, jaw tight, eyes darting from the judge to me, like the system had betrayed her, just like she betrayed us. In the parking lot, she caught up to me. "You think this is done?" she spat. "You dragged me through the mud in there." "No," I said, steady. "You did that yourself. I just stopped cleaning up your mess." She stepped closer, voice dripping with that fake sweetness. "You'll regret this. He's still my son. I didn't back down. You had a son, and you threw him away the moment you picked a stranger over him." She had no comeback, just spun around and stormed off. For the first time since this hell started, I felt a weight lift. Not a fix for the scars, but a first step towards something real. Freedom. I picked up Liam from my sisters that night. We drove home, quiet for a bit. Then he asked, "Did we win?" I smiled. We didn't lose. For now, that was enough. The weeks that followed felt different. Not easy, not healed, but honest. No more crocodile tears. No late-night texts meant to cut deep. No surprise visits with makeup streaked like battle lines. Sarah faded from our daily rhythm bit by bit. And in her absence, something grew. Peace. Liam's smile came back, his appetite too. He slept through the night. The shadows under his eyes lightened. And the kid who used to tense up at the sound of the doorbell started singing off-key while doing dishes. That was the real win, not the court order. She still tried calling, once, twice, 3 times, leaving voicemails that swung from pathetic to vicious. "I miss him, Daniel. You don't have to be so heartless." Then, "You've turned him against me. You're vile." Then back to, "Maybe we can talk, try again." I blocked her number. Let her rage into the emptiness she'd earned. One evening, about 2 months after the hearing, Liam walked into the living room with an old photo album, the heavy one Sarah had insisted we make when he was born. I hadn't touched it since everything fell apart. He sat beside me, flipped a page. "Do you think she ever looks at these?" I took a beat before answering. "I think she does. I think she sees them and knows what she threw away." He nodded, then pointed to a photo, me cradling him in the hospital, eyes tired but proud, Sarah next to me, radiant like the world was hers. "She used to be okay," he whispered. "People change," I said. "Sometimes for better, sometimes into someone you don't know anymore." He looked up. "I'm glad you didn't change." I ruffled his hair, smiling. "I did. I just didn't break." That weekend, we went hiking, just us, no phones, just the crunch of gravel and the rustle of leaves. He talked about the future, college, learning to drive, maybe getting a dog. We mapped it all out. Sarah's name didn't come up once. In that quiet, I found something I never expected. Closure. Not an apology, not a reckoning, just a morning with pancakes, a home without a storm brewing, a kid who finally felt safe. Sarah thought bringing Matt and his boys into our house would crush us. She thought she'd break me. Instead, she handed me something she never intended. Clarity, a fresh start, and the chance to show Liam what love really means: steady, loyal, unbreakable. If you're reading this, stuck in the wreckage like I was, wondering how it all burned down, hear me. You're not shattered, you're rebuilding. Let her go. Let the lies collapse. And when she comes crawling back, regret tangled in her excuses, just smile. By then, you'll know she lost the best thing she ever had. And you'll be free.